On August 2nd, 2025, in Tokyo, Japan, two fighters stepped into the ring. Both of them were 28 years old, both competing on the same card, and both would be dead by the end of that week. Now, this isn't just a tragedy, it's a turning point for the sport of boxing in Japan, and it may spark regulatory changes around the world. I'm Dr. Yomi Adeyemi, board-certified urgent care physician and Ringside doc. And in this video, I'm breaking down exactly what happened that night, what these deaths reveal about the hidden dangers fighters still face, and why this moment could shape the future of combat sports. Now, I know there are other reaction videos out there on YouTube. I held off on an immediate reaction in this case though. I wanted to wait to form my opinions and consult with experts in combat sports. And I did just that at the last session, the last meeting of the Association of Ringside Physicians. Now today, I'm gonna give you a behind the scenes look at just how the medical community is processing these deaths. And we're gonna talk about what needs to happen next in order for us to all do our part to keep these fighters alive. Now, let's dive into the details. The main event that night was Shigetoshi Kotari challenging Yamato Hata for the WBA Asia Pacific Super Featherweight title. This was a full 12-round war. Now, Shigetoshi Kotari did make it to the final bell, and in fact, footage from the event wasn't particularly unique, just an active title fight. But soon after the fight, he collapsed. Reportedly, there were not just one, but two neurosurgeons serving as ringside physicians that night. Now, these are of course people very familiar with signs of concussion and severe brain bleeds. Kotari was sent to a nearby trauma center where scans reportedly showed a subdural hematoma, which is bleeding around the brain. And despite emergency surgery, Kotari tragically died about 6 days later on October 8th. Now, on the same card that night was Hiromasa Urakawa fighting Yoji Saito. Now, Urakawa was knocked out in the 8th round. Now, he also suffered a serious brain bleed, and he passed away on August 9th. Two fighters, same age, same night, and unfortunately, the same cause of death. Now, the global boxing community went into shock over this. The Oriental and Pacific Boxing Federation immediately reduced all title fights moving forward from 12 rounds down to 10. The Japan Boxing Commission, which is known, by the way, for strict standards, announced a whole wave of new reforms. These include a ban on extreme dehydration from rapid weight cuts, mandatory hydration testing, automatic weight class changes if a fighter rehydrates more than 10% after weigh-ins, and increased ringside medical protocols. Now, these deaths didn't just shake up the headlines. They struck deep in the heart of the medical community. The reactions included medical bodies right here stateside as well. Now, on August 20th, the Association of Ringside Physicians held a special session during its monthly review rounds. And I was there, joined by some of the most respected voices in the sport. ARP President Dr. Lou Durkin, Dr. Don Musi, Dr. Damon Zavala, Dr. John Nidecker, and former UFC fighter Chris Lieben, along with referees like Kevin McDonald, Andy Glenn, and Jason Herzog. Now, the panel reviewed both fights in detail, Kotari vs. Hata and Urakawa vs. Saito, studying the fights, debating the progression of symptoms, and reflecting on the chain of decisions made that night. Now, no official recommendations were issued, no consensus mandates declared, but the mood was unmistakable. Even with strong protocols, fighters are still dying. And in cases like these, danger doesn't always look dramatic. It was a sobering reminder. Sometimes the damage is invisible till it's too late. And unless we stay vigilant, both ringside and in review, these tragedies will continue to haunt the sport. So, what actually happens in the brain during these fights? Let's break it down. You see, your brain floats in a bath of cerebrospinal fluid. It's a protective cushion that absorbs shock and prevents direct contact with the skull. But when a fighter dehydrates severely to make weight, that fluid layer shrinks and the brain becomes more vulnerable, less protected. You add in repeat blows, especially from 8, 10, or 12-ounce gloves, and now that brain is bouncing off of bone in the skull. And that movement stretches and tears bridging veins. These are tiny vessels that link the brain to its outer membrane. Now, once torn, those veins leak blood slowly into the subdural space. That's how subdural hematomas form. But it gets worse, unfortunately. You see, dehydration also means lower blood volume and slower blood clotting. Fighters who cut 10, 15, even 20 pounds through fluid loss are more prone to brain injury and less able to stop the bleeding. And because that bleeding is internal and often slow, it might not cause symptoms right away. Fighters may walk to the back, talk to their coaches, answer questions, even smile, and still be minutes from collapse. Now, this isn't just about one unlucky punch. It's about accumulation, repetitive trauma that chips away at the brain's resilience. It's about physiology, how weight cutting and fatigue create a perfect storm. And it's about systems, where even well-trained teams can miss the early signs simply because nothing really looks wrong. This is why weigh-ins matter, why hydration status matters, why what a fighter does 24 hours before the bell might be just as important as what happens in the ring. Now, fighters are warriors, but they're also human, and biology doesn't care who's winning in the scorecards. Now, boxing has faced moments like this before. Back in 1982, South Korean fighter Kim Duk-koo collapsed after 14 rounds against Ray Mancini. He died 4 days later, and that death changed the sport. Championship fights were cut from 15 to 12 rounds. And that isn't it. Every reform we've had in the sport, glove size, number of rounds, pre-fight CT scans, has come after tragedy. The question is, will these latest changes be enough? Now, as a ringside physician, I've seen just about everything. Fighters seizing in the ring, delayed concussions, sudden collapses backstage. But what scares me the most isn't what we see, it's what we miss. Because concussions don't always show up right away. And some brain bleeds are slow and silent. A fighter might walk, talk, smile, and still have minutes to live. That's why our job isn't just to react, it's to anticipate. The reality about this sport is we really are operating in a gray zone. There isn't always a straightforward answer, and these things do happen. With all that said, here are a few places where the system still has room for improvement.
Enjoying the video? Yeah, I know. Me too. But listen, really quick. More than 90% of you guys watching this right now aren't even subscribed. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. It takes a whole team and a lot of work to put these videos together. Believe me, my cameraman right behind you, he's sweating bullets right now filming this. I don't ask for a lot in return, but what I'd love is for you to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. Doing that is a signal to YouTube that you want to see more of this content. It helps me, it helps our team. It's a small ask on your part, but it's huge for us. All right, let's get back into it.
A few things we need might include real-time hydration tracking to identify high-risk rehydration profiles. You know, during the ARP meeting, there was a lot of discussion around the fact that here in California, we've got pretty strict regulations. If fighters are cutting 10% of their body weight to make weight for a fight, that raises a red flag. It happens twice and they're recommended to increase their weight class. And for fighters who are cutting 15% or more, that's an automatic fight called off and weight classes have to be adjusted. You know, some of the veterans who were talking mentioned that some fighters at this point are even avoiding California because of some of these regulations. And that gives you some idea about, you know, the fighter's mindset about how things are being handled. And I get it, you know, people are out there trying to compete and win. But from our perspective as physicians, we have to do what's right for their health. And making these decisions moving forward, although they might not be popular, I think that they're necessary. Another place to focus, well, increase centralized reporting of medical incidents so patterns and red flags aren't lost between events. And this is a place that I've particularly focused. I hope to share with you guys here really soon what I think we can do about all this here in the States. A last point, well, pre-fight education that's brutally honest. Fighters, coaches, everyone need to know about what these risks really mean. Now, Tokyo had neurosurgeons. Emergency response was reportedly a bit delayed due to EMS transport, but the appropriate actions were taken. And still, 2 fighters died. That tells you something. The danger doesn't just lie in bad medicine. It lies even in good medicine that's too late. And that's another haunting part. You can do everything right and still lose someone. That's why fighter safety isn't just a checklist. I think it's a mindset. Now, if this video moved you, then hopefully I've earned your subscription. And I hope you share this video. You can send it to a fighter, send it to a coach, send it to anyone who needs to hear it. it. And if you want more videos where science meets combat sports, then stay tuned. We got lots more coming on this channel. We're growing pretty rapidly, and I love the community that's coalescing around this channel. Till next time, guys, stay dynamic. Peace.